The first rule of working on an alien station is simple. Don't stare. The second rule? Definitely don't stare at royalty. Unfortunately for me, I broke both rules on the same day. My name is Marcus Hale, a human engineer stationed on Orion Station, one of the largest diplomatic hubs in the galaxy. The station orbited a massive blue star and served as neutral ground where dozens of alien civilizations conducted trade, negotiations, and the occasional political argument that nearly turned into war. Humans were still new to interstellar society. We had only joined the Galactic Assembly about 20 years earlier, which meant most species looked at us with curiosity or mild suspicion. My job was simple. Maintain the station's environmental systems. Air recyclers, gravity stabilizers, energy conduits. Not glamorous, but important. And it usually kept me far away from diplomats, nobles, and people who could accidentally start wars with a single sentence. Which is exactly why I was surprised when I was suddenly assigned to repair a system inside the Royal Wing. Chapter 2. The Royal Wing. The Royal Wing of Orion Station looked nothing like the rest of the station. The normal corridors were metal and glass. Functional. Practical. But the Royal Section? It looked like someone had turned an art museum into a palace. The walls shimmered with living crystal. Floating lights drifted slowly through the air like glowing fireflies. Tall alien guards stood at every entrance, wearing armor that looked far too advanced for something meant purely for decoration. I kept my head down and walked carefully. Humans didn't usually wander into places like this, which meant the guards were watching me closely. Maintenance Technician Marcus Hale, I said, showing my clearance badge. One of the guards scanned it, then nodded. You may proceed. I exhaled slowly. Good. No problem so far. But then I turned the corner, and that's when I saw her. Chapter 3. The Woman in Silver. She stood near a tall window overlooking the endless stars. At first glance, she looked almost human. Tall. Graceful. Her skin carried a faint silver glow under the station lights. Long dark hair flowed down her back like liquid midnight. But what caught my attention the most was the subtle pattern of glowing lines across her skin, like delicate starlight embedded beneath the surface. She wore flowing garments made from a shimmering material I didn't recognize. Elegant, effortless, and clearly expensive. I quickly realized something important. This wasn't just any alien visitor. This was someone important, very important. And yet she was alone, quietly watching the stars. That should have been my signal to look away and keep walking. Instead, I stared. Chapter 4. The Moment. At first, she didn't notice. Or at least I thought she didn't. I was trying to figure out what species she belonged to. The galaxy had thousands of them, but I had never seen one like her before. Then something unexpected happened. She turned. Slowly, deliberately, and her glowing violet eyes locked directly onto mine. For a moment, my brain stopped working. She had definitely caught me staring. This was bad. Very bad. I looked down quickly, pretending to adjust my toolkit. Maybe she would ignore it. Maybe she would assume I was distracted. Maybe. Human. Her voice was calm, smooth, and much closer than I expected. I looked up. She had walked across the room and was now standing directly in front of me. And she was smiling. So, she said softly, you find my body interesting? Chapter 5. Panic. There are moments in life when your brain simply shuts down. This was one of those moments. Excellent response, Marcus. Very professional. The alien woman tilted her head slightly, clearly amused. You were staring. I'm sorry. Why? Because that's rude? She laughed softly. It was a surprisingly warm sound. In my culture, curiosity is not considered rude. That's good, I said weakly. Then why are you nervous? Because I think you're probably important. Her smile widened slightly. And if I am, then staring at you probably violates about 10 diplomatic rules. Perhaps. She studied my face for a moment. But you are not staring at me the way others do. That confused me. How do others stare at you? With fear. I hesitated. Well, I wasn't afraid. Her eyes glowed faintly. I noticed. Chapter 6, the introduction. She extended her hand toward me. Tell me your name, human. Marcus. Marcus what? Hale. She nodded slowly. I am Sarilith. The name sounded elegant. Alien. But powerful. And what do you do on the station, Marcus Hale? I fix things. She glanced at the tool pack on my shoulder. That explains the equipment. Environmental systems, mostly. So, you keep the station alive. That's a dramatic way of putting it. She leaned slightly closer. And yet, you still had time to admire me. I sighed. Look, I didn't mean to offend you. You didn't. She smiled again. I was curious. About what? About why a human would look at me that way. Chapter 7, the truth. I hesitated before answering, but something about her expression made me feel strangely comfortable. Honestly, yes. I was trying to figure out what species you are. She raised an eyebrow. That was all. Mostly. And the rest? I scratched the back of my neck. You're kind of striking. Striking? In a good way. She seemed to think about that word. Humans use strange compliments. We're a strange species. She looked at me carefully. Do you know who I am? I shook my head. No. She smiled again. I suspected as much. Chapter 8, Royalty. At that moment, 2 armored guards entered the room. They stopped immediately when they saw us, standing together. Both bowed deeply. Your Highness. My stomach dropped. Your Highness. I slowly turned to look at Sarilith. She was watching my reaction with clear amusement. Your Royalty, I said. Yes. I closed my eyes briefly. Of course you are. She laughed softly. You seem disappointed. No. Then why the sigh? Because I just realized I was flirting with a princess. Is that unusual for humans? Very. Chapter 9, the Princess. Sarilith dismissed the guards with a small gesture. They left without question. You may relax, she said. You're not angry? No. You're not going to have me thrown off the station? Why would I? Because I stared at a royal alien woman? She tilted her head again. Marcus Hale, do you know how many diplomats stare at me every day? Probably a lot. Yes. And most of them are pretending not to. That made sense. But you didn't pretend, she continued. You were simply curious. That's one way to describe it. And curiosity is valuable. She paused. Especially in humans. Chapter 10, a strange conversation. Instead of leaving, she sat down beside the large window. Tell me something, she said. All right. What do humans think of my people? I sat carefully across from her. Well, honestly, yes. Most humans think your empire is powerful. That is correct. They also think your species is mysterious. How so? You don't share much about your culture. She looked out at the stars again. That is intentional. Why? Because power attracts enemies. Chapter 11, a dangerous secret. After a moment of silence, Sarilith spoke again. Marcus, I did not come to this station for diplomacy. Then why are you here? She lowered her voice. Because someone is trying to kill me. That definitely got my attention. Assassins? Yes. And you're just telling me this? You seem trustworthy. I'm a maintenance engineer. Exactly. That confused me. How does that make me trustworthy? Because engineers fix problems. I shrugged. Usually broken machines. Tonight, she said quietly, the problem might be more dangerous. Chapter 12. The Attack. The lights flickered suddenly. An alarm echoed through the corridor. Saralith stood instantly. They're here. The door exploded inward. Armed figures rushed into the room. They wore dark armor and carried advanced plasma weapons. Assassins. Saralith moved faster than I expected. She grabbed my arm and pulled me behind a pillar as energy bolts blasted through the chamber. Stay down, she ordered. You fight assassins often? I asked nervously. More often than I would like. Chapter 13. Escape. Saralith activated a hidden control panel. A secret passage opened in the wall. Move, she said. We ran through the narrow tunnel as explosions echoed behind us. The assassins were trying to break through the chamber. Where does this lead? I asked. To my ship. Good plan. Assuming we reach it. The tunnel ended at a small hangar. A sleek alien vessel waited there. We climbed aboard just as the assassins reached the entrance. The ship launched into space seconds later. Chapter 14. Aftermath. Hours later, we were safely outside the station's security range. Saralith sat in the pilot's chair, staring out at the stars. Well, I said, that was exciting. You handled it well. I mostly ran. Running can be wise. She turned toward me. You saved my life. I didn't do much. You came with me. That seemed like the safest option. She smiled again. You are an unusual human. I've heard that before. Chapter 15. A New Beginning. The ship drifted quietly through space. Finally, Saralith spoke. Marcus, would you consider working for me? As what? My advisor. I fix air recyclers. You also stay calm during assassination attempts. Barely. She laughed softly. Still, you are honest. And that's valuable? Very. I looked at the endless stars outside the window. A few hours ago, I was just another engineer on a space station. Now I was flying through space with an alien princess who had been the target of assassins. Life had changed quickly. All right, I said finally. I guess I could try something new. Saralith smiled. Good. Then she added playfully, just try not to stare at me too much. I laughed. No promises. And that was the beginning of the strangest adventure of my life. All because the alien woman caught me staring and smiled.